Week 4 is over and you have a lot to unpack, but I've sorted through it all for you and found just the important information. These are the 7 running backs you need to add before your friends do. Now, it starts with a situation involving Jonathan Taylor from the Colts, who unfortunately is believed to have suffered from their ace beat reporter a high ankle sprain, and they play on Thursday night, so it's very unlikely, probably doubtful that he's playing this week. Now, it's likely Nyheim Hines is rostered in your league. He'd be the starter here, but it's not the guy I want to talk about. I want to talk about a Colts running back who's 0% owned. But if you are in a league where Nyheim Hines is available in the 34% of leagues, yes, he's the #1 waiver wire add this week. But like I said, this next guy is 0% owned. And that's Deion Jackson, who needs to be added in 12-team leagues and all deeper leagues. He's a 2021 undrafted free agent who had a solid preseason this year. And he would be the 1-for-1 replacement for Jonathan Taylor. He's the same size. He's 220-ish pounds with elite size and speed. And you can just check out his workout metrics. His speed score is top 10% of all time, well above average in terms of his burst. He's a solid RB for sure. So here's what all this means. He's likely to earn snaps right away on Thursday. And if you go through Nyheim Hines' career game logs, he's only played 50% of the snaps and more in 13% of his starts out of 68 career starts. So add Jackson and this AFC running back. And this next player to add stems from a Javonte Williams knee injury that is thought to be serious. Prayers up for Javonte, but here's what this means. You need to add Mike Boone in every single league, because this past week he ended up playing over 35% of the snaps, 19 of the 53, actually more than Melvin Gordon, who played just 10 snaps. And that means that Mike Boone's snaps have now increased in 4 straight weeks. Now we have to clear some things up here. Melvin Gordon was dealing with injury heading into this week, and he left the game for a decent amount of time, but he did come back in the 4th quarter where Mike Boone still out-snapped him and saw more opportunities. You could expect Boone to see close to 50% of the snaps here. And in 3 career games where he's played at least 50% of the snaps and seen at least 5 touches, he averages 15.3 fantasy points per game. I mean, these are RB1 type numbers with 15 opportunities per game, and he's a great pass catcher. Not only is he a great pass catcher, but his athleticism is elite. I mean, he has top 1% speed of all time. Of all the running backs to ever enter the NFL, he is in the top 1% in terms of his burst and speed combination. The news isn't out yet on Javonte, but he might even miss the entire season. You need to go get Mike Boone. But then pass on this Falcons running back. And that would be rookie Tyler Algier, who had a fantastic game. He totals over 100 total yards on 11 touches, puts up 11 fantasy points. But this production isn't sustainable, and here's why. Algier led the backfield this week, playing 24 of 55 snaps. So not even 50% of the snaps. But the key news here is that Cordell Patterson came into the week dealing with injury, only played 16 of 55 snaps. That's just 29% of the snaps. Here's why that's weird. Because heading into the week when healthy, Patterson was averaging 60% of the snaps. So he wasn't healthy this week. He was limited, clearly, because he played half of the snaps that he normally does. But honestly, there's even more trouble here and why you want to avoid Algier. This backfield is a complete mess. 4 running backs for the 3rd time this year have played at least 10% of the snaps, and Caleb Huntley actually saw all of the goal line touches over Tyler Algier. I mean, even the 4th string running back Avery Williams saw 12% of the total snaps. There's just not enough opportunities to go around here. Cordell Patterson is going to get healthy. Avoid this messy backfield. But add this next running back, and that would be Raheem Mostert, who's been the Dolphins' clear back now for about 2 to 3 weeks. This past week, he saw an elite role. He played 46 of 64 snaps. That's 72% of the snaps, which is a top 5 usage at the running back position this week. And when we take into account his week 4 usage, his snaps have now increased in all 4 weeks this year. Keep in mind, he played with Mike McDaniel at San Francisco. Mike McDaniel's been on record saying he loves Mostert, and Mostert only came to Miami because of McDaniel. He's starting to get that RB1 usage. So here's what this all means. Mostert is the guy to own in this backfield. And according to PFF, he saw 10 of the 14 snaps in clear passing downs in the 2-minute offense and on 3rd downs, and he saw 3 of the 4 goal line snaps, which will eventually lead to touchdowns. But he's been unlucky so far. Let me explain. Right now, Mostert ranks 22nd in expected touchdowns, which basically means on the usage that he's had so far this year, he's been expected to score at least 1 touchdown, but he has none. He's been unlucky. And teammate Chase Edmonds actually ranks below him, 28th in expected touchdowns. Based on his usage, he's not even expected to have scored 1 touchdown this year, but he has 3. He's been clearly lucky, and this production is not sustainable based on his low snaps. If this usage holds, expect Mostert to score week 5. You want to add him and this next back before your friends. And that's Commanders rookie running back Brian Robinson, the 3rd round pick out of Alabama, who is going to be returning from week 5. He's expected to come off of the non-football injury list. He was a gunshot wound before week 1, and he's already back. He got lucky with where the bullet hit. He's back. He's ready to roll. He's 100% been practicing actually in individual events for 2 to 3 weeks. And as of right now, he's still available in around 50% of leagues, so go and grab him. Because reminder, he beat out Antonio Gibson in the preseason. But there's even more to this story. Because Antonio Gibson last year was the leader in this category, the one you don't want to be the leader in fumbles. He led all running backs with 6 fumbles. The Commanders do not trust Gibson. They re-signed aggressively J.D. McKissic and then took Brian Robinson in the 3rd round. And this past week, Antonio Gibson only played 40% of the snaps. J.D. McKissic operated as the RB1 ahead of him, and here's why that matters. Because for each of the 4 weeks, Antonio Gibson has seen a drop in not only his fantasy points each week, but also his snaps now. This is concerning. But it's good news if you're a Robinson earner who will come right right in and have a chance to be the lead guy. So get him, but avoid this next RB. Don't add the Lions running back Craig Reynolds out of Kutztown. Shout out Kutztown. And that's because the Lions have a bye week 6, so it's likely DeAndre Swift will sit week 5. He's dealing with this injury, but you don't want Reynolds for just this 1 week. And now here's what he did in week 4 as to why maybe some of your league mates want him. Reynolds actually played 38% of the snaps and even ran 2 more routes than Jamal Williams when it comes to the receiving game and the upside that that can bring for a fantasy back. The issue is he saw just 10% of the opportunities. And that 10% of the opportunities translated to just 2 carries and 1 target. And there's even more bad news because veteran addition Justin Jackson saw just 6 snaps, but it ended up leading to 4 touches this past week, more than Craig Reynolds. And if he's going to be involved, that's going to cap the upside of Reynolds, but Jamal Williams being on the field for elite usage already does. So although he's playing snaps, it's not translating to touches because this team just loves and trusts Jamal Williams. So let your friends add Reynolds. He doesn't have any upside, but then you want this NFC back. And that would be rookie Rashad White, who is an absolute must add. And he's currently rostered in just 39% of leagues, which means he's available in over 60%. And this is why you want him. He just played by far the most snaps of his young career right now, 24 of the 64 snaps. And here's what you need to know. This was easily White's best role yet. And according to PFF, he actually saw all 4 of the goal line snaps, 1 leading to a touchdown, over Leonard Fournette. And it's not like Fournette has been good to keep this job. I like Leonard Fournette, but he hasn't been efficient this year. He ranks 39th in true yards per carry and 40th in yards per touch. That's your total production from the receiving game and the rushing game. This is concerning. And Rashad White is slowly taking advantage of this because at 6'4" and about 215 pounds, he has the ability to be a 3-down back. He could be that goal line back we saw this past week, and we already know, and if you don't know now, you know, he is a lethal pass catching weapon because in college, he ended up leading his team in targets and receiving as a running back with a 19% college target share. It leads all rookie running backs this year, and it's the most I've seen in at least the last 5 years for a back. So grab him before his breakout game and also grab this material. And that would be the weekly cheat sheet, which comes with waiver wire tiers telling you which position in exact order, in exact tier you should be adding, and a lot more things, rankings, projections, player notes for every single player. You can grab the weekly cheat sheet with the link in the description, but here's the big thing. It's a one-time payment of $10, and if you don't win your league, I'll be happy to refund that $10 payment. This is risk-free, baby. If you'd like to win your waivers, which helps you win your league like the thousands of other people that are right now, then click the link in the description to learn more. And now in deeper leagues, definitely be sure to roster Jalen Moore, and he's the clear running back 2 in Pittsburgh. And he saw 25% of the snaps, 16 of 64, which was an increase from week 3's game, and he was the only other back behind Najee Harris to see a snap. He is the dude. Now here's what you need to know about Warren. He is a 2022 undrafted running back and ended up winning this job in the preseason. That's very rare. He ended up beating out an explosive all-purpose veteran running back in Anthony McFarland and decently long-time backup in Pittsburgh, Benny Snell, who the team loves. So this says a lot about Warren's upside, and so does his college production. Because when you add in his rushing yards of over 1,200 and his receiving yards of over 200, he had over 1,400 total yards last year, 34 targets, which is well above average, top 5% for any college back. This is a productive player. Now, this is clearly Najee Harris's backfield, but he's already been dealing with 2 injuries in the first month of the season. So consider adding Warren, especially in deeper leagues, but then pass on the Saints backfield. Look, you just don't want any guys in this backfield. Mark Ingram is 32 years old, and so is Latavius Murray. They are actually the 2 oldest active running backs in the NFL right now. And the older you are as a running back means the less burst you have, which means the less big play upside for fantasy. And now the only reason these guys are even being talked about is because Alvin Kamara, his rib injury, he missed his 2nd game with this and was actually sort of a surprise inactive on Sunday morning, leading to both Mark Ingram and Latavius Murray playing over 40% of the snaps each, and they split the opportunities. Ingram had 13, Murray had 12. But we got to break this down a little bit more because Ingram was the clear running back in the first half, but then Murray was the clear running back in the second half. Ingram ended up leaving the game. He came back, but Murray still held on to that primary back role and ended up scoring the touchdown. But even if Kamara misses another game, I don't want these dudes. There's no upside here. So just let your friends add these Saints running backs instead. So you know the running backs to add, but you're also going to need to know the wide receivers. And that video will be out shortly later this week and right here. And 67% of you aren't subscribed to the channel. So if you aren't, do me a favor and hit subscribe.